Good evening, you're watching Express News with me Nancy Kohli. Let's take a look at the top stories of the day. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Brazil to attend the 11th BRICS Summit. A jam-packed schedule lies ahead of him. Apart from the summit, he will attend the closing session of the BRICS Business Council and several bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit. Prime Minister Modi will lay special emphasis on efforts to counter terror and change in status quo on the multilateralism front. The theme this year is economic growth for an innovative future. On the sidelines of the BRICS Summit, he will be addressing the BRICS Business Forum and interacting with the BRICS Business Council as well as the new development bank. We're talking about the BRICS Summit. Well, the theme this year is economic growth for an innovative future, and on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit, Prime Minister Modi will be addressing the BRICS Business Forum and interacting with the BRICS Business Council as well as the new development bank. Prime Minister Modi will also hold bilateral meetings with the host President Bolsonaro of Brazil. He will also hold bilateral meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. This will be his first meeting with both the leaders after the recent RCEP meeting that saw India opting out of the free trade agreement. BRICS leaders will meet the BRICS Business Council on day 2. The BRICS leaders' restricted session as well as plenary sessions will also play out on 14th November. This will be the 6th time that Prime Minister Modi is participating in the BRICS Summit, his first being at Fortaleza, also in Brazil in 2014. The Supreme Court has pronounced its verdict on petitions challenging the Delhi High Court decision bringing the Office of the Chief Justice of India under the ambit of the RTI, the Right to Information Act, and the 5-judge Constitution Bench headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi said that the office of the CJI comes under the ambit of the RTI. A 5-judge Constitution Bench had on 4th April reserved its verdict on the appeals filed in 2010 by the Supreme Court Secretary General and its Central Public Information Officer against the High Court and the Central Information Commission's orders. The bench headed by the Chief Justice had wrapped up the hearing saying nobody wants a system of opaqueness, but the judiciary cannot be destroyed in the name of transparency. In a landmark verdict on 10th January 2010, the Delhi High Court had held that the Office of the Chief Justice of India comes within the ambit of the RTI law, saying judicial independence was not a judge's privilege but a responsibility cast upon him. The 3-judge bench of Supreme Court has upheld the disqualification of 17 Congress JDS MLAs in Karnataka that was ordered by the then Speaker of the State Assembly, but has paved the way for them to contest the 5th December by-polls in 15 seats in the state. The Apex Court struck down the portion of the order of the then Speaker K.R. Ramesh Kumar by which the legislators were disqualified till the end of the term of the 15th Karnataka Assembly. The court said if elected in by-polls, these disqualified MLAs can become ministers or hold public office. By-polls to 15 out of these 17 assembly seats which fell vacant following the disqualification of the MLAs are scheduled on 5th December, and the candidates are required to file their nomination papers between 11th and 18th November. Karnataka Chief Minister B.S. Yediyurappa has welcomed the decision of the Supreme Court, which has given the verdict that all the 17 MLAs can contest the by-elections. He added that by tomorrow onwards, they will be going to their assembly constituencies and expressed confidence on winning on all the seats. The disqualified Karnataka MLA A.H. Vishwanath has also welcomed the judgment of the Supreme Court upholding the disqualification of the MLAs but allowing them to contest the by-elections in the state. Shiv Sena on Wednesday did not mention in the Supreme Court in its plea challenging the governor's decision not to grant it 3 days' time to get the letter of support to form the government in Maharashtra. The NCP has named 5 members for a joint committee to be formed with the Congress for deciding a common minimum program before their possible alliance with the Shiv Sena for the government formation in Maharashtra. The party has said that the 3 parties, the NCP, the Congress and the Shiv Sena, will be engaging in talks to chalk out a way out of current political situation. Senior NCP leader Ajit Pawar said that parties need to sort out many issues and added that the state is not new to coalition governments. The BJP spokesperson Jeeval Narasimha Rao blamed the Congress for the ongoing political crisis in Maharashtra. He said the Congress is yearning to gain power via the back door. Shiv Sena leader Uddhav Thackeray met the Maharashtra Congress leaders and said the talks over government formation in the state were progressing in the right direction and that a decision will soon be taken at an appropriate time. The Sena is holding deliberations with the Congress and the NCP to rope them in to form a government in Maharashtra, which came under President's rule on Tuesday evening. The Supreme Court has taken suo motu cognizance of the worsening air quality in Delhi NCR. It has issued notices to Centre, Delhi, Haryana and Punjab governments and other stakeholders. The apex court said that some serious, broad and permanent steps need to be taken by the concerned governments and stakeholders. The Solicitor General Prasar Bharati informed the court that the government will employ technical expertise and other methods and ensure a definite plan in the matter. The Supreme Court's appointed high-powered committee will study the plan and submit its feasibility report by 3rd December. Meanwhile, Delhi's air quality is in the severe category and the pollution levels are expected to enter the severe plus or emergency category. The air quality index in adjoining areas of Noida and Greater Noida was recorded at 472 and 462 respectively, while Faridabad and Gurugram had an air quality index of 441 and 448 respectively. An air quality index between 201 and 300 is poor, 301 to 400 very poor, and 401 to 500 severe, while the air quality index above 500 falls in the severe plus category. In Jharkhand, there are indications that a broad agreement may be reached between the BJP and the All Jharkhand Students Union for the upcoming assembly elections in the state. According to sources, the BJP may leave 10 seats for the AJSU in the forthcoming elections. Also, there could be friendly fight in 2 or 3 seats. Earlier, there were reports that the BJP and the AJSU will fight the elections separately. Information and Broadcasting Secretary Amit Khare addressed the curtain-raiser press conference of 50th International Film Festival of India. He released a special anthem for the 50th edition of the International Film Festival of India at Shastri Bhavan in the national capital. The INB secretary said that the special anthem song includes all the rasas of Indian Natya Shastras. India's first elephant memorial inaugurated in Uttar Pradesh's Mathura to remember elephants that lost their lives due to human brutalities. In Odisha, Bali Yatra festival inaugurated in Cuttack region on the bank of the river Mahanadi. The festival marks the rich maritime history of the state. Union Minister Prakash Javadekar on Wednesday took charge as the Minister of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises, 2 days after Shiv Sena leader Arvind Sawant resigned from the Union Cabinet. Speaking with the reporters, the Union Minister Prakash Javadekar said that he hoped the additional charge was for a temporary period and there will be a regular arrangement in place thereafter. At closing bell, the 30-share BSE Sensex settled 229 points or 0.57 points lower at 40,116. The index swung 386 points during the day. The broader NSE Nifty dropped 73 points or 0.61% to close at 11,840. A sharp depreciation in the Indian rupee added to investors' woes. The rupee dropped below the 72 level against the US dollar in the intraday trade. Meanwhile, the Brent crude futures, the global oil benchmark, fell 1.22% to $61.3 per barrel. Gold in the national capital rose 225 rupees to 38,715 rupees per 10 gram on Wednesday due to wedding season and rally in the international prices. The market regulator SEBI on Wednesday came out with a detailed disclosure framework for entities seeking listing of municipal debt securities issued on private placement basis. Under the new disclosure framework, SEBI said it has widened the definition of issuers, revised timelines for submission of annual and half-yearly financial results, and issued the structure payment mechanism through escrow accounts, among others. The leaders of the BRICS group arrived in Brasilia ahead of the BRICS summit in Brazil. The major agenda of the meeting this time is the expansion of the BRICS New Development Bank launched in 2014. Bolivian Senator Jeanine Áñez sworn in as interim president of the country. Bolivia is scrambling to restore order after weeks of political turmoil that finally led President Evo Morales to step down. Ahead of the impeachment hearing, the Republicans in the US President Donald Trump's home state of New York termed the televised hearing of the impeachment as a witch hunt and politically motivated. Former US Ambassador to United Nations Nikki Haley said that she would hit the campaign trail for President Donald Trump in 2020. She added she had no plans for her own White House bid. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson chaired a meeting of the government's emergency committee to discuss the flood situation in the north of England. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his wife Peng Yuan visited the Acropolis Museum in Greece. The Chinese royal couple was accompanied by the Greek president and his wife. Palestinians militants launched another rocket attacks in the southern Israeli city of Ashkelon after Israel killed a top commander from the Islamic Jihad group. At least 7 people were killed and 10 others injured in an attack in Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. The attack occurred when a car bomb exploded near the Interior Ministry of Afghanistan. 5 civilians were killed in an attack in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The attack is suspected to have been committed by Allied Democratic Forces. At least 23 people died when a bus went down a gorge in Peru's mountainous northern region. The accident led the bus to tumble down some 300 meters. The suspected suicide bomber blew himself outside police headquarters in Indonesia's city of Medan. Indonesian police said that they have identified the suicide bomber who set off a bomb outside police headquarters in the Indonesian city of Medan to kill himself. The suspect is said to be a university student. The temperature in northern Australia is expected to reach 36 degrees Celsius due to the ongoing wildfires which has been blowing the region since the past few days. Chilean President Sebastián Piñera called for a new constitution in Chile as violent anti-government protests continued on the streets of Santiago. The protest has till now claimed the lives of 20 people. Violent clashes continued in Hong Kong. The police said the city's rule of law is at the brink of total collapse as protests hit the central financial district and 2 universities. Armed riot police swarmed in on protesters in Hong Kong as the city prepared for more anti-government clashes for the 3rd consecutive day. The activists blocked roads while the police had to fire tear gas to disperse the protesters. One protester shot dead in police firing during fresh wave of violent protests which broke out in Lebanon. The country has been facing unrest due to prevailing economic and political crisis. Lebanon President Michael Aoun has warned that Lebanon face a catastrophe if protesters did not stop. Teen climate activist Greta Thunberg is all set to sail across the Atlantic to Madrid, where the COP25 conference is scheduled to be held in December. Congressional Democratic leaders called on the Supreme Court to rule against President Donald Trump's bid to kill a program that protects hundreds of thousands of immigrants who enter the US illegally as children. Letters from Albert Einstein and Winston Churchill, Marilyn Monroe's US Army ID, signed Muhammad Ali, boxing gloves, vintage radios and a whole host of American sports memorabilia are set to go for auction at the Beverly Hills in Los Angeles. Native Australian bird kookaburra has been observed perched over a branch and overlooking the Australian bushfire. Argentina artist Andres Petrocelli created the mural of activist Greta Thunberg in downtown San Francisco. The artist said that he usually does not address issues, politics, religion and sports in his artwork. New dad panda Jiao King has to undergo a CT scan as his kidneys had shown some irregularities during a checkup. Jordanian mosaic artist Ahmad Mansara is serving environment through his art. He cuts and paints the shards of glass into colorful mosaic art pieces in order to reduce the waste. Real Madrid's Luka Modric was awarded the 2019 Golden Foot Award in Monaco. The Croatian said he was proud to receive the award, which has been given to an accomplished soccer player who is at least 28 years old since 2003. Austria's Dominic Thiem booked a semi-final spot at the ATP Finals with a stunning victory over Novak Djokovic in the standout match of the tournament. So far on Tuesday, the world number 5 ripped winners all over the 2 arenas blue court to rock 5-time champion Djokovic on his heels for a 6-7, 6-3, 7-6 victory and moved top of the game. Austria's Dominic Thiem described his stunning victory over Novak Djokovic at the ATP Finals as probably the best match he's ever played. The 26-year-old world number 5 blazed 50 winners, many of them jaw-dropping backhands to beat the 5-time champion 6-7, 6-3, 7-6 in front of a spellbound arena crowd. Roger Federer got back on track at the ATP Finals with a 7-6, 6-3 defeat of Italian Matteo Berrettini. The defeat by Dominic Thiem in his opening round-robin match had left the 6-time champion facing an early exit, but he responded in emphatic fashion. Enis Kanter, a Turkish NBA player and vocal critic of President Erdogan, teamed up with the 2 Democratic US senators as they introduced a bill to condemn the violation of human rights in Turkey. As Erdogan arrived in the US for a White House meeting with President Donald Trump, Senators Edward Markey and Ron Wyden held up Kanter as a victim of the Turkish government's targeting of political rivals. French President Emmanuel Macron welcomed France's Fed Cup champions to the Elysee Palace to congratulate them on their victory, France's first in the competition in 16 years. Spain's soccer national team unveiled new outfit ahead of the Union of European Football Associations Euro 2020. The England team will create a piece of soccer history tomorrow as they will become the first country to play 1,000 international matches. The Euro 2020 qualifier against Montenegro at Wembley Stadium will complete the landmark which began when England drew 0 with Scotland in Patrick in 1872, the first international match ever played. The Rally of Australia was cancelled due to the threat of bushfires near the Coffs Harbour-based event in eastern New South Wales state. The organisers had planned to run the season ending November 14th to 17th event with a dramatically shorter route, but ultimately decided the risks were too high and called off the event. Former world number 4 and Australian Open runner-up Dominika Cibulkova has announced her retirement from tennis. The 30-year-old won the 8 WTA titles, including the prestigious WTA finals in 2016 and in 2014, became the first Slovak to reach a Grand Slam final, losing to Lena in Melbourne. The new chairman of British Soccer's anti-racism Kick It Out campaign has warned that rising levels of discrimination and racism in the sport are a result of wider problems in society. The discrimination in football may get worse before it gets better, according to Sanjay Bhandari. He also briefed about conducting a strategic review and a 3-month listening tour to discover how Kick It Out best tackles discrimination. England manager Gareth Southgate said he took ultimate responsibility for the decision to axe Raheem Sterling from the team for tomorrow's Euro 2020 qualifier, but expressed concern about leaks from inside his camp. Sterling was dropped from the squad to face Montenegro at Wembley after a clash with Joe Gomez at the St. George's Park training ground. Indian shuttlers Saina Nehwal and Sameer Verma were ousted from the Hong Kong Open after suffering contrasting defeats in the opening round of the event. 8th seed Saina, who claimed the Indonesia Masters in January this year, suffered a first-round loss in the last 6 tournaments, going down 13-21, 21-22 to China's Kai Yan for the second successive time. Pop singer Katy Perry will perform at the Melbourne Cricket Ground at the final of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup. The final will be played on the 8th of March, which is celebrated as the International Women's Day. The fireworks singer will entertain the crowd during the pre-game show as well as the post-match celebration. It was on 13th November 2014 when opening batsman Rohit Sharma, popularly known as the Hitman, registered the highest individual ODI score. Rohit went on to score 264 runs against Sri Lanka at the Eden Gardens, Kolkata, and this knock till date remains the highest score by any batsman in the 50-over format. Real Kashmir FC unveiled the club's 2019-20 home jersey, dedicating it to the fans of the club. The club that played in the I-League for the very first time last season attracted massive crowds in both home and away games across the country, becoming one of the most loved clubs across India. India's men's doubles pair of Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty scaled to a career-best number 7 in the Badminton World Federation rankings. Satvik and Chirag were previously placed at number 9 after a stunning run to the semi-finals in the China Open. Yogesh Kathunia overcame 3 foul attempts to claim bronze medal in the men's discus throw F56 final at the World Para Athletics Championships and sealed India's 7th slot at the 2020 Tokyo Paralympic Games. Egypt's Liverpool forward Mohamed Salah has been ruled out of the African Cup of Nations qualifiers against Kenya and Comoros with an ankle injury. Former Australia wicket-keeper batsman Adam Gilchrist has revealed that Indian off-spinner Harbhajan Singh was one of the toughest bowlers he faced in his entire career. During a 30-minute reflection on his career on cricket.com.au's The Unplayable podcast, Gilchrist recalled the famous 2001 Test series against India, which saw Australia end their 16th Test winning streak. Australian all-rounder Madness has signed a new 2-year deal with the Glamorgan. He will be available across all formats, subject to international commitments for Australia. On a lighter note, Indian captain Virat Kohli has time and again highlighted the strong bonding between the Indian cricketers, and on Wednesday, India's limited overs vice-captain Rohit Sharma and all-rounder Ravindra Jadeja gave a first-hand proof of that. Rohit Sharma and Ravindra Jadeja were involved in a banter during India's training session ahead of the first test against Bangladesh at home. John Abraham dropped second teaser of Pagalpanti filled with craziness. The teaser features Saurabh Shukla, John Abraham among others, giving us a good dose of laughter. The filmmakers of Houseful 4 announced that it has made 200 crore rupees in India. It has become second film of this year to cross the record 200 crore rupee mark, which makes Akshay Kumar the biggest box office star of this year. Nawazuddin Siddiqui and Atiya Shetty's Motichur Chakna Chur is delayed because a public fallout between the producer of the film Rajesh Bhatia and crew members including director Debamitra Hassan. The makers of Commando 3 announced to unveil Akhiyan Milawanga song featuring Vidyu Jamwal and Ada Sharma. The trailer of the movie has already got the fans excited. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of the news. Thanks for being with us.